Hello, my name is Chris Quinlan and welcome to the Drum Show. This is all about two bass drums tonight, I think. I know so. I thought it out. That was a left foot lead. My left foot is straddling the hi-hat pedal and the left side of my double kick pedal. And what I'm doing is this. That's just my left foot doing that. I put my right foot with, my right hand with it. Drop in my left hand. So this is not alternate sticking. It's my right foot coming. So that was all off a left foot start. Now, when I talk about two bass drums, unfortunately I have to talk about my age because I do think, I really do have a theory that this is part of tradition of what goes on. I came up at a time when if you needed two bass drums, you needed two bass drums. There was no such thing as a double kick pedal. That came along in 1983. And I'd already been playing well over a decade. But what would happen is so many of the teachers of the 70s into the 80s were jazzmen, because rock and roll basically came around in the 50s, and they were kids then, and it's a little bit like the old, everything that I keep going on about the hi-hat. Every show has something about the hi-hat. It's so important. Something like that. Always that. And Tony Williams came in, great jazz drummer, when he was a kid, about 15. Started playing 4-on-the-floor hi-hat with Miles Davis. And anytime you see a John Bonham drum solo, you're always seeing the hi-hat pump away, usually with a tambourine on top. A little hi-hat tambourine there. Something like that. And you see, what happens is that when I was coming up, my old teacher Harold kept saying, you know, you've got to do the hi-hat like this, right? 2 and 4. 8 notes even. Now, that by itself became some kind of a weapon in the 70s, because if I talk Bonham, you'll hear it not only with his stuff, like, given that he used a 24-inch bass drum, was always going, you see, that kind of thing. And then when he went into his solo, Lick of the Century, there is all that, you see. Now, what starts to go on is when all that was going, and I was getting told to practice this with things like the Drummer's Cookbook, whoever remembers that book. All those 16 notes that most famous for. All those things. Okay, we sort of know that as Immigrant Song is the most immediate, but by Jingo's Good Times, Bad Times, but there's an album track on Led Zeppelin's third album, and it's called Out on the Tiles. Wow! Go listen to that, okay, for great 16th note playing in that vein. There you go. Now, what happens is that all this stuff with the left foot. Now, sometimes with lessons, I have students that come to me from other places, and the first thing they do is do that, lock it off. Don't use the left foot at all. Left foot's not doing anything. I say, excuse me, can you just put it back to where it was? Thank you. Thank you, young whippersnapper. Because I've got to get you to at least keep it down with your foot, at least know that, that kind of thing. So get all that going. So what happens is the left foot is really important. I go on about it a lot. It's like when you're doing, I was doing four-way coordination last episode, or the last episodes, and that is all about bringing in, as a separate entity sort of thing. And I've talked about that quite a bit. What I'm doing tonight is bringing it in so that with two bass drums, we now take the hi-hat and put it on the left side bass drum, whether it is actually a bass drum. What am I doing? Pardon me. Pardon me. There's my left bass drum. Right bass drum, left bass drum, left bass drum, right bass drum, right bass drum. Now how about if I turn my left side bass drum, which is a 20-inch, into what I was doing with the hi-hat? When you've got two bass drums, you can play them both together. You can almost flam them if you wanted to. A little bit harder to do when you're doing double kicks, because what happens is if I go to my hands for a little bit here, you get what's called a flat flam, which is great for two drums. See, I'm talking Bonham. So on, but the thing about it is when you try and do it on one drum, you're going to get the trampoline effect where it's going to have an inconsistent bounce. That's why we do flams or grace notes, right? That kind of thing. So what happens is if you go to just your double kick pedal, left foot start. Now this is something I really wanted to talk about, and I'll talk about it more after the break, but to give you an idea, it's diagonal coordination. Now, one of the things that I was taught fairly early on was a thing called a coordinational grid, and that's essentially like you're doing right hand and right hand, left hand, single stroke roll. Same thing could be right hand, right foot, left hand, right foot. All these things, 2 feet, like that, you see. But one of the things I really like is the opposite thing, because of this age thing. because I grew up at a time when hi-hat ruled, John Bonham's hi-hat, everyone's hi-hat was going chick, 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 Tony Williams, chick, 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 all the time. I ended up developing a left foot lead. And this is something that Steve Smith talks a lot about, starting with your left hand or starting with your left foot. And I tend to have a bit more swing with it, just as Steve Smith says, Left foot, there's the left foot. And when I'm doing, say, a single stroke roll, I seem to feel most comfortable with right, left, with the hands, and left foot, right foot, the opposite with the feet. The conundrum. Okay, more after the break.